So, welcome to LiberalViewer First Wednesday live question and answer session. This is the live question and answer show I do the first Wednesday of every month. I'm glad to see I've had several people ready and joining me here. What I like to do is I'm going to get to the questions in the discussion section that people post for me to answer live here, but I also like to take questions that people asked in the lead up to the show. I actually prefer those questions because I get a little more time to do research, and I don't always have the ability to answer off the top of my head questions that people ask in the comment section, although I'll give it my best shot when the questions come up. But I did have a few questions that people asked beforehand, and so I wanted to start off with those. Let me see. I'm actually having a few problems with cell phone problem there. I'm having a few problems with being able to see the comments that you're leaving here, so hopefully we'll find a place where they show up. Oh, I see. They're showing up in my... Looks like they're showing up over in my control room thing, but... So anyway, let me get started with some of the questions that people asked before the show began. The first question here you can see was posted over on my Facebook page, facebook.com/LiberalViewer. It says my question for next Thursday. Actually, it's Wednesday, so maybe Leroy Johnson's going to have to watch this as a recorded show. But what are your thoughts on Shaq's endorsement of Christie for New Jersey governor? Also, do you see Cory Booker following in the steps of President Obama, one-term senator, then presidential run? Well, I don't live in New Jersey. I have at least one friend who lives in New Jersey who I follow on Facebook who is politically active, and I've seen commenting. On the Shaquille O'Neal thing, I don't really know what to make of that. I used to be a Laker fan back in the day, back even more before Shaquille O'Neal days, like in the Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar days, but I did go to some Laker games during like the Shaq and Kobe era, and Shaq never struck me as the brightest of guys, so I guess a Republican endorsement, I don't really know what that was all about, but and I saw on Saturday Night Live they did a really nasty parody of Shaquille O'Neal that made him seem even dumber than some of the things that I've seen that gave me that impression. As for whether Cory Booker is going to follow in the footsteps of President Obama as a one-term senator, I think that's going to be a hard act to follow, President Obama, that someone's going to have to do it a little differently. You can never really be a trailblazer the same way twice, and as for Cory Booker, well, I think actually he has to run again very soon. The term that he just started is about to expire. I think he has to run again, maybe even next year already. So I don't even think there's going to be a presidential election before he has to be reelected. Also, from what I understand, Cory Booker has some real downsides. He has some upsides. It's good that he was elected senator over the Republican in New Jersey, but his record in Newark, where he was mayor, is had seemed to show that he was more interested in his own political future than actually solving the problems of the people in Newark. Or that's what I've heard from, like I said, I have a friend who's politically connected or politically involved in New Jersey, and I read a lot of Facebook posts from people I trust in New Jersey, and although I have never lived in New Jersey and I don't know that much about New Jersey politics, so take what I say with a grain of salt on that. The second question that I had people asking me here, it looks like I do have people showing up here to watch. That's good. I hope I can get the comments section to work so I can read these comments. The second question I had someone ask here is from Sword Thane, asked me over on Twitter. My Twitter account, of course, is at LiberalViewer, or twitter.com/LiberalViewer. You can find my Twitter page. And of course, you have to read this from the bottom to the top. LiberalViewer, I hope During your Liberal Viewer Wednesday, you mentioned the weirdly violent dueling comments from Rand Paul. Quote, if it was legal, I'd shoot these evil liberals who keep pointing out that I stole other people's works. So I actually played that clip on my Liberal Viewer Sunday live clip roundup that I did last Sunday. It was part of Rand Paul's defense of his plagiarism, and I didn't really talk much about the dueling comment I took on Liberal Viewer Sunday live clip roundup. I was mostly talking about how it didn't really seem like Rand Paul really understood what plagiarism was by his defense. He was saying that, you know, as long as he was saying who he quoted, he didn't have to say where he read the quote, but he was actually taking large passages from Wikipedia verbatim and using them as if they were his own words, or giving him the benefit of the doubt. It may have been someone who wrote his speeches, and you'll see this dueling comment that the sword was it? I'm sorry, was that Sword Thane? Yeah, Sword Thane. The dueling comment from Senator Rand Paul. I actually cut it down to like a 17-second clip. And if you're watching this as a recorded show, I'll put in a link so that you can go over to Liberal Viewer Sunday live clip roundup and see the greater context. But here is Senator Rand Paul talking about how people accusing him of plagiarism are insulting his honor, and how he would duel if it weren't against the law or stop him from holding office in Kentucky. Here's that clip.
Take it as an insult, and I will not lie down and say people can call me dishonest, misleading, or misrepresenting. I have never intentionally done so. And like I say, if dueling were legal in Kentucky, if they keep it up, it'd be a duel challenge. But I can't do that because I can't hold office in Kentucky.
So what?
Yeah, so that's the dueling comment where he was saying that if he would duel if it weren't against the law or prevented him from holding office in New Jersey. And I actually researched that a little bit. So there's actually a law in Kentucky. Here it is. Kentucky Revised Statute, Section 61.100. Dueling disqualifies person to hold office. Any person convicted of sending, accepting, or knowingly carrying a challenge for the purpose described in this other section shall forfeit any office or honor or profit held by him at the time he committed the offense or when convicted thereof, and shall then be disqualified to hold any office. And that goes back to 1942. You'd think it would have gone back to like the 19th century, but for some reason they passed that in 1942. I don't know what's going on in Kentucky. And then the Kentucky Revised Statute 437.030 that it references, that's a challenge to duel, accepting and delivering challenge, which is also back in 1942. So yeah, it's not just dueling that would disqualify him from office. It's actually challenging someone to a duel would disqualify Rand Paul from office in Kentucky. That, I don't know, I think that was kind of a joke that Senator Rand Paul was making there. It was kind of weird, but I don't know, maybe he was trying to show off his knowledge of arcane Kentucky laws, but whatever. So I wanted to show you that clip and then the laws on dueling there. I have one more question that I was asked beforehand that I want to get to. Let me just load up the next three images here real quick. The third and final question I was asked before I started was this one from Leo G, and I actually got this from the comment section of this video before it started, and it's a two-parter, again, to read from the bottom. Dear Liberal Viewer, let me get this right. Dear Liberal Viewer, would you please comment on 1, the current status of the ACLU's lawsuits against domestic spying, and 2, whether you think there likely will be any amendments to Patriot Act Section 215 in the near future as a result of these lawsuits or civilian protest. So Patriot Act 215 and domestic spying, those are like the two things, and they're actually not very different. First, I want to start off showing you something that just from today. This is November 6 over on the ACLU website. ACLU and Yale Law Clinic seek secret court opinions authorizing NSA's bulk collection of Americans' records. And this is about the NSA spying. Basically, trying to get the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, this secret court that oversees the NSA spying, to release its opinions that give the interpretation of Section 215 of the Patriot Act that the NSA is using to collect basically the metadata, the time of call and length of call and location of both ends of the call for every phone call made in the United States for like years going back now. And if you want to know what it is that is in Section 215 of the Patriot Act, that motion that the Yale Law Clinic and the ACLU filed today, this is footnote 2 from the first page of that motion. You can see it says the Patriot Act, Section 215 amended FISA in part empowers the director of the FBI to obtain secret orders from this court compelling third parties to produce, quote, any tangible things, unquote, upon a showing that there are, quote, reasonable grounds to believe that the tangible things sought are relevant, unquote, to an authorized foreign intelligence or terrorism investigation. So the two ways that Section 215 might be narrowed is either to narrow that any tangible things part, because that's basically anything, or to increase the connection between the thing requested and the connection to terrorism, because this can be foreign intelligence or terrorism related, and it only has to be reasonable grounds, not like probable cause. So that's what's going on with that motion, but there's actually more things going on with NSA spying. I also want to show you, I've got 3 more quick. So the other, that's just a Freedom of Information Act request to have the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court release its previous opinions that interpret Section 215 of the Patriot Act. But the ACLU also has this ongoing lawsuit, ACLU versus Clapper, that it filed just a few days after the Snowden leak showed this bulk phone record collection. And you can, I actually, down in the video description right below me there, I've already put a link that goes to this page that I'm showing, which is all the documents filed in the ACLU versus Clapper lawsuit. I think the latest one is from like October 26th. And it's like replies, and you can click on the links and you can read them yourself. And so that pretty much answers the question about some of the lawsuits that are going on. There's the ACLU versus Clapper lawsuit to actually stop the NSA spying, the bulk phone record collection part anyway. And then there's this other Freedom of Information Act lawsuit to get the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court to release its opinions that interpret so broadly Section 215 of the Patriot Act that allows this bulk record collection. And there are other lawsuits as well, but those are the two I wanted to highlight. And then I also want to show, in terms of what kind of legislation there might be going on in the Congress, I think there is a possibility. I mean, Congress is so dysfunctional, who knows if they'll actually amend the Patriot Act, but I think that is the more effective way to do it, because I'm worried the courts might not actually rein in NSA spying. So there is this one, the USA Freedom Act is a real way to reform the Patriot Act. You can see I've put up an ACLU article here about that. And this would actually narrow Section 215 of the Patriot Act that's used to collect the phone records of almost every American every day, so that it can no longer be used in that sweeping fashion. And the FISA court would still be able to issue subpoenas, but they would be limited to collecting things that directly pertain to a terrorist, his associates, or his activities. So that's what I was talking about in terms of getting more restrictions on Section 215. One of the things that's kind of worrisome is that this article, that article I'm showing you there is from October 29th. This is from a couple weeks earlier, talking about how there are some really bad Patriot Act reforms out there too. Unfortunately, this is a bill that is sponsored by Senator Dianne Feinstein, a Democrat from California, my state, and I've really been unhappy with what Dianne Feinstein has done. But if this kind of NSA reform passes, it basically just may even make the surveillance worse. It doesn't fix anything. It kind of legalizes what they're already doing, and that's what I'm worried will happen. And basically, it depends on public outcry. It depends on people calling the Congress. It's not a sure thing either way. It's kind of up in the air, and it depends on what people are willing to do. And so I hope people are willing to take that kind of thing on. Let's see. It looks like I have a bunch of viewers here, and I'm gonna see if I can get this comment section here to work. Oh, yep, I got like 29 comments. I'm gonna take some live comments here. I'm gonna try to go for about 15 more minutes. Although, here, well, that's what I should do is. I know some people like this, some people don't like this, but my mouth is getting dry, so I'm gonna do
Rubio, Mr. Thirsty. Rubio, Mr. Thirsty. Rubio.
Marco Rubio, Mr. Thirsty. Before I get to the live comments here, I had that looping. I guess that's why that didn't stop. Okay, so let's see. Tilde. I saw these questions before I started. Asked me about if the hospitals can bill you as the subject of an involuntary procedure instead of the police department. I don't know if that's like a blood draw for a DUI or what that is, but I did some quick research and I cannot answer that question. So I apologize to Tilde. I saw your question, but I can't really answer it. Mr. Tennisball 85 says, to what extent does current federal law protect LGBT in the public sector? For example, if a teacher is affected by homophobia, to what extent can she be protected? Does working at will factor in? Well, you said federally. You said federal law there in that question. And there's basically no federal protection for sexual orientation or gender identity. There's a patchwork of protections in state and local laws, but that's something that's just going through the Senate right now. Is ENDA, the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, could be passed by the Senate, and then it'll probably die in the House of Representatives. But that would be really nice if we could get federal protections, but there aren't federal protections for LGBT. There may be some creative ways to stop people from being discriminated if you don't use sexual orientation or gender identity. You find some other, because there are federal protections. You can't be discriminated on the basis of your gender. You can't be discriminated on the basis of your race or your religion or your ethnicity. But there is no protection in federal law until the Employment Non-Discrimination Act passes to stop discrimination against people for sexual orientation or gender identity. So let's see. Oh, I see people are talking about the book behind me. I don't know. I've been thinking maybe I should get rid of this Colbert book. Is that distracting? I always use it as sort of a tribute to Stephen Colbert. As my first viral video came from a Colbert clip. I think it's called Fox News Edits a Democrat to Make Him Look Worse, and that was from one of the first few months of the Colbert Report. And anyway, I'll switch it out eventually. I'm probably going to start using a different camera and different software sometime in the next week or two. So that might be a time to start switching this stuff out. Let's see. Durek 11 says Booker will most likely be a senator for a while. I pretty much agree with that. I don't think he's going to be like quick to go for higher office like Barack Obama did. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Dagger M001 says, wow, these people that write these laws think they're clever by being as vague as humanly possible. Well, lawyers write there's a sort of an art to writing laws, and I think they write them so that lawyers can read them, but not like normal people. Maybe that's what it is. But Oh yeah, Rubio drink. So I guess people. Let's see. Polka Fury says, "Liberal, will you ever interview Ryan Dawson in the near future?" I don't even know who Ryan Dawson is. So I see. That's why. If you asked me questions beforehand, I could just Google Ryan Dawson. But now I don't. Let me see. I'm kind of running out of questions here. Maybe I'll end a little early. I'm looking at these comments. I think I may be a little delayed, so. But yeah, it looks kind of like something about Bobster 451 says, "How about that New Mexican guy who got pulled over for running a stop sign and accidentally clinched his butt when exiting the car and was subjected to a colostomy?" That is, see, another story I would have really loved to look up before the show started, but I don't know anything about that. But Pollock Fury says, "Why do people hate Rand Paul? Is there a specific reason for this? As well, will a libertarian rise help America choose a third-party alternative to that of the Democrats or Republicans?" Rand Paul, I don't think people hate him more than any other public figure or any other person who gets a lot of public scrutiny. He's like a leader of the Tea Party, and he has some radical views. When he was first running for the Senate, I remember the last time he got in trouble with Rachel Maddow on MSNBC, he talked about how he didn't think it was within the power of the federal government to stop people from discriminating in like the Civil Rights Acts. So he was basically saying that there shouldn't be federal laws saying that people have to serve blacks at the lunch counter at Woolworths. He wanted to undo all the progress from the 60s that stopped segregation in the South. And I mean, I can understand his philosophical point, but the problem is that there was a compelling interest. The government really needed to stop segregation, and the state and local control was not going to do it. It was only going to be through federal civil rights legislation, and it does really affect people's lives. The way the Supreme Court justified it, and I agree with, what is it, the Atlanta motel case, is the Supreme Court decision that said if blacks can't stay at motels and can't eat at restaurants all throughout the South, it affects their right to travel. And so that gives the Congress power to legislate public accommodations. Places that are open to the public have to serve people without discrimination. And Rand Paul and all these libertarian, people who want to go back before this increase in federal power that gave the federal government power to enforce things on the states, I think that may be where it is that he gets such a backlash, because those are hard-won rights against discrimination. That was a big battle in the 60s, and people don't want to go back. And Rand Paul's pretty cavalier about that, I think. And then this latest plagiarism thing, it's just kind of weird. So, but libertarians, to the second part of that, will a libertarian rise help America choose a third-party alternative to that of the Democrats? No, I don't think the libertarians are going to ever be an effective third party. So let me see. I'm pretty much out of questions here. And I'm always glad to see that I have some core fans watching. I've still got a couple dozen people, but it's obviously not as popular as the Sunday Clip Roundup. I hope you enjoy the research I did to answer the questions that people asked beforehand. And I'm going to finish up the show, I think, now a little bit early and let you all get back to your Wednesday or whatever you're doing, and I'll put in a couple good links. Thanks for joining me, and Look for LiberalViewer Sunday live clip roundup at 6:30 p.m. Pacific on Sundays. And I should have, if I don't think I'm going to be able to finish up another edited, produced video this week, but I think there should be another good one coming up next week, so look for that on my channel. Have a good rest of your Wednesday, or whatever time it may be where you are. Thanks for joining me.